Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss knee joint. The knee joint is the largest and the most complicated joint in the body. It consists of two main parts. See here, this is femur and the below bone, this is tibia. The main parts are the paired condylar joint between the rounded medial and the lateral condyles of the femur above and the corresponding condyles of the tibia and their cartilaginous menisci below. This is first joint, that is the bicondylar joint. How it is bicondylar? Two condyles are there. First of all, the above medial and the lateral condyles of the femur, and below there are the medial and the lateral condyles of the tibia. So two types of condyles are involved, so it is called as bicondylar joint. And there is another joint which is plain gliding joint between the patella and the patellar surface of the femur. See here in this diagram, this is a small bone which is patella, and behind this is the patellar surface of the femur. So there is a gliding joint in between these two bones. So these are the three bones which are involved in the formation of knee joint. First of all femur, then tibia, and then patella. Fibula is not involved in the formation of the knee joint. See here in this diagram, this is femur, this is patella, and this is tibia. Okay, these three bones are involved in the formation of knee joint. The articular surfaces of the femur, tibia and patella, they are covered with hyaline cartilage. Note that the articular surfaces of the medial and the lateral condyles of the tibia are often referred as medial and lateral tibial plateaus. See here, these are medial and lateral tibial plateaus. Now we will discuss some of the components of the knee joint one by one. First of all, articulation, then capsule, then ligaments, then menisci and synovial membrane. And at the end, we will discuss the movements of the knee joint and the nerve supply and the blood supply of the knee joint. First of all, articulation. The knee joint is articulated between the condyles of the femur and the tibia. That's why it is called as bicondylar joint, and it is of hinge type of the synovial joint. See here, this is bicondylar according to the formation or according to the articulation, and it is hinge type of joint according to the movement. Okay, then there is a plain gliding joint between the patella and the femur. So remember that three bones are involved in the formation of knee joint. Number one is femur, number two is tibia, and number three is patella. And what is the type of the knee joint? Number one, it is a bicondylar joint according to the articulation. Number two, it is hinge type of the synovial joint according to the movement. And number three, there is a plain gliding synovial joint in between the patella and the femur. Now we will discuss the capsule of the knee joint. The capsule is attached to the margins of the articular surfaces and surround the sides and the posterior aspect of the joint. Remember this thing, that the capsule is present on the posterior side and on the sides of the knee joint. On the front of the joint, the capsule is absent, permitting the synovial membrane to pouch upward beneath the quadriceps tendon muscle, forming the suprapatellar bursa. See here, there is suprapatellar bursa. Here there is no capsule. This bursa is formed by the synovial membrane. The capsule is only present posteriorly and on the sides. On each side of the patella, the capsule is strengthened by the expansion from the tendons of vastus lateralis on the lateral side and vastus medialis on the medial side. Remember this thing, the capsule is only present posteriorly and on sides of the knee joint. It is absent anteriorly. Anteriorly, there is synovial membrane which is forming suprapatellar bursa, and on each side of the patella, the capsule is strengthened by two tendons. What are those two tendons? Vastus lateralis on the lateral side and vastus medialis on the medial side. Behind the joint, the capsule is strengthened by the expansion of the semimembranosus muscle. See here, this is semimembranosus muscle, which is the muscle of the posterior compartment of thigh. Okay, it forms the oblique popliteal ligament on the posterior surface of the joint. See here, posterior surface of joint. Here the capsule is strengthened by this oblique popliteal ligament. This oblique popliteal ligament is formed by the insertion of semimembranosus muscle. An opening in the capsule behind the lateral tibial condyle permit the tendon of the popliteus muscle to emerge. Remember this thing, that there is an opening in the capsule. This opening is behind the lateral tibial condyle. This area is of lateral tibial condyle. Here there is one opening which will permit the emergence of the popliteus muscle. This is the popliteus muscle which is emerging through the capsule. Now we will discuss the ligaments of the knee joint. First of all, there is capsule. Outside the capsule, there are many ligaments which are called as extracapsular ligaments, and inside the capsule, there are many ligaments which are called as intracapsular ligaments. So first of all, I will name the extracapsular ligaments. There are 5 ligaments: ligamentum patelli, lateral collateral ligament. See here, this is lateral collateral ligament. This is medial collateral ligament. There is oblique popliteal ligament on the posterior side, which is formed by the semimembranosus muscle, and there is arcuate popliteal ligament, which is at the region of the popliteus muscle. These are 5 extracapsular ligaments. Then there are intracapsular ligaments, which are cruciate ligament. There is anterior cruciate ligament, which is named as ACL, and there is posterior cruciate ligament, which is named as PCL. So remember the names of the extracapsular and the intracapsular ligaments. Now we will discuss each ligament one by one. First of all, ligamentum patelli. See here, this is the ligamentum patelli, which is attached above to the lower border of the patella. This is patella bone, and this is the lower border of the patella. So ligamentum patelli is attached above to the lower border of the patella, and below it is attached to the tuberosity of the tibia. It is in fact a continuation of the central portion of the common tendon of the quadriceps femoris muscle. See here, this is quadriceps femoris muscle. Okay, this is the tendon of the quadriceps femoris muscle, and this is the ligamentum patelli, which is the continuation of the tendon of the quadriceps femoris muscle. So this is ligamentum patelli. This is extracapsular ligament. Number 2 is tibial collateral ligament, which is also called as medial collateral ligament. See here, this is a flat band. It is attached above to the medial femoral condyle. This is femur and this is the medial side. This is medial condyle. So medial collateral ligament is attached above with the medial condyle of the femur. This is medial condyle of the femur, and below it is attached to the medial surface of the shaft of the tibia. This is the medial surface of the shaft of tibia. Here it is attached. It is firmly attached to the edge of the medial meniscus. See here in this diagram, it is very much obvious that there is no gap in between the tibial collateral ligament and the medial meniscus. This is medial meniscus of the knee joint. Okay, but see on the other side, on the lateral side, there is a gap in between the lateral collateral ligament and the lateral meniscus. Here there will be popliteus muscle which will emerge from this opening. Okay, so again see here on the medial side there is medial collateral ligament. It is firmly attached to the edge of the medial meniscus. It is attached above to the medial condyle of the femur, and below it is attached to the medial surface of the shaft of the tibia. Now the fibular collateral ligament or the lateral collateral ligament, see here, it is not a flat band, it is cord-like. Okay, above it is attached to the lateral condyle of the femur because it is present on the lateral side, and below, because on the lateral side we have fibula, so it is attached to the head of the fibula. The tendon of the popliteus muscle intervenes between the ligament and the lateral meniscus. I have told earlier that there is a gap between the lateral collateral ligament and the lateral meniscus. So here there will be popliteus muscle. Okay, popliteus muscle. See here in this diagram, the popliteus muscle is very much clear in between the lateral collateral ligament and the lateral meniscus. This is lateral meniscus and this is lateral collateral ligament. And in between the two structures, there is popliteus muscle. But on the medial side, the medial collateral ligament is firmly attached to the medial meniscus. There is no gap in between the two structures. Now another ligament which is oblique popliteal ligament. I have told you earlier that this is the expansion from the tendon of the semimembranosus muscle. It blends with the capsule at the posterior surface of the joint. Okay, remember this thing, that oblique popliteal ligament is the modification of the semimembranosus tendon. Semimembranosus tendon. This comes in your exam in MCQs. Now the arcuate popliteal ligament which is present here, this is arcuate popliteal ligament. It is a Y-shaped thickening of the posterior capsular fibers. Stem of Y is attached to the fibula. See here, this is fibula and the arcuate popliteal ligament is attached to the fibula. These were extracapsular ligaments. Now we will discuss intracapsular ligaments. They are cruciate ligaments. They are paired ligaments which are connecting the tibia to the femur, crossing each other within the joint cavity. That's why they are called as intracapsular ligaments. See here, these are cruciate. Cruciate means which are crossing one another. That's why they are called as cruciate. They are forming X. Okay, so they are cruciate ligament. They are within the joint cavity. That's why they are intracapsular. The posterior cruciate ligament is more stronger. It is shorter and broader as compared to the anterior cruciate ligament. First of all, we will discuss the anterior cruciate ligament. See here, this is anterior cruciate ligament and this is the anterior surface of the knee joint. The anterior cruciate ligament, which is also named as ACL, it is attached to the anterior intercondylar area of the tibia. Remember this thing, that these cruciate ligaments, they are named according to their attachment with the tibia. If why it is called as anterior cruciate ligament, because it is attached to the anterior intercondylar area of the tibia. That's why it is anterior cruciate ligament. Posterior cruciate ligament is named as posterior because it will be attached to the posterior intercondylar area of the tibia, not the femur. Okay, otherwise because it is attached to the femur also, but because of the tibial attachment they are named as anterior or posterior. The anterior cruciate ligament attached to the anterior intercondylar area of tibia and it passes upwards, backwards and laterally. Remember this thing, it will go upward, backward and on the lateral side of the femur, and it is attached to the medial surface of the lateral femoral condyle. Okay, posterior part of the medial surface of the lateral femoral condyle. This ACL prevents the posterior displacement of femur on the tibia. Conversely, with the knee joint flex, this ACL prevents the tibia from being pulled anteriorly relative to the femur. This is very, very important, that the ACL is attached to the anterior intercondylar area of the tibia. It is passing upwards, backwards and laterally. It is attaching to the posterior part of the medial surface of the lateral femoral condyle. Okay, because it is going laterally and it is preventing the posterior displacement of femur on the tibia. Now the posterior cruciate ligament, see here, this is the posterior surface of the knee joint and this is posterior cruciate ligament. Okay, this is anterior surface and this one is the posterior surface. Anteriorly we can see the anterior cruciate ligament very clearly and we can see the posterior cruciate ligament also, but on the posterior side we can see the posterior cruciate ligament very clearly. The posterior cruciate ligament attached to the posterior intercondylar area of the tibia. That's why it is called as posterior posterior cruciate ligament. Okay, it passes upwards, forwards and medially, as the anterior cruciate ligament was crossing upwards, backwards and laterally, but the posterior cruciate ligament is passing upwards, forwards and medially, okay, to attach the anterior part of the lateral surface of the medial femoral condyle. Okay, the anterior cruciate ligament was attached to the posterior part of the medial surface of the lateral femoral condyle, but here the posterior cruciate ligament is attached to the anterior part of the lateral surface of the medial femoral condyle. This is the medial femoral condyle. The posterior cruciate ligament prevents the anterior displacement of femur on the tibia. The ACL was preventing the posterior displacement of femur on the tibia. Okay, it is opposite with the ACL. So with the knee joint flex, the PCL prevents the tibia from being pulled posteriorly relative to femur, whereas the ACL was preventing the tibia from being pulled anteriorly relative to femur. So it is opposite to the anterior cruciate ligament. Now there are some menisci. See here, these are menisci. They are C-shaped sheets of the fibrocartilage. They are not hyaline cartilage, they are fibrocartilage. Their peripheral border is very, very thick and attached to the capsule, and the inner border is thin and concave and forms a free edge. The upper surface are in contact with the femoral condyle. See here, this is the upper surface of the menisci. They are in contact with the femoral condyle, and the lower surfaces are in contact with the tibial condyles. What is their function? Their function is to deepen the articular surface of the tibial condyle to receive the convex femoral condyles. They also serve as a cushion between the two bones and distribute forces transmitted through the joint. Okay, so they are in between the femoral and the tibial condyles, and they are forming a cup-shaped area or deepened area so that the femoral condyles can fit into the tibial condyles. They are called as menisci. Now we will discuss the synovial membrane. Synovial membrane lines the capsule. Okay, it is on the inner side of the capsule. It is attached to the margins of the articular surfaces. See here, this is the anterior part of the knee joint and this is the posterior part of the knee joint. This is actually the lateral view. Okay, on the front and above the joint, it is forming a pouch which is named as suprapatellar bursa. See here, the synovial membrane is forming the suprapatellar bursa, which is held in position by the attachment of a small portion of the vastus intermedius muscle. This portion is called as articularis genu muscle. Okay, a small muscle or a small portion of the vastus intermedius muscle which is named as articularis genu muscle. Okay, it is holding the suprapatellar bursa which is formed by the synovial membrane. See here, this is patella bone. Okay, this is subcutaneous prepatellar bursa, and this is the quadriceps tendon, and there will be ligamentum patelli below the patella. This is the articularis genu muscle, and this is suprapatellar synovial bursa. Suprapatellar synovial bursa. Now we will discuss some of the bursa which are present anterior and posterior to the knee joint. First of all, anterior bursa related to the knee joint. There are 4 bursa which are present on the anterior side of the knee joint. Number 1 is suprapatellar bursa. See here, this is suprapatellar bursa. It is beneath the quadriceps tendon muscle. This is quadriceps tendon and below the quadriceps tendon, this is suprapatellar bursa. Then we have prepatellar bursa. This is subcutaneous and it is between the skin and the front of the lower half of the patella and the upper half of the ligamentum patelli. This is the upper half of the ligamentum patelli and this is the lower half of the patella and this is the skin. So it is in between these structures and it is called as subcutaneous prepatellar bursa. Subcutaneous mean it is below the skin. Pre-patellar means it is in front of the patella. Okay, then there is superficial infrapatellar bursa. See here, this is also subcutaneous and it is in between the skin and the front of the lower part of the ligamentum patelli. This is ligamentum patelli. It is in front of the ligamentum patelli. Then we have deep infrapatellar bursa. It lies between the ligamentum patelli and the tibia. So this is a very good diagram which is showing you the anterior bursa related to the knee joint. Now we will discuss the posterior bursa which is related to the knee joint. There are 6 bursa which are present on the posterior side of the knee joint. First of all, there is popliteal bursa. Remember this thing. Then there will be semimembranosus bursa. Okay, this is semimembranosus muscle and there will be bursa of the semimembranosus. Then there will be one bursa which is also called as anserine bursa. I have told you 3 muscles which are inserting over the tibia and they are named as pes anserinus. They are sartorius, gracilis and semitendinosus. So there will be one bursa which is beneath the 3 muscles, sartorius, gracilis and semitendinosus. This bursa is called as anserine bursa. Okay, then there is another bursa which is below the lateral edge of the lateral edge of the gastrocnemius muscle. Then there will be another bursa which is beneath the medial head of the gastrocnemius muscle. Okay, which are not shown in this diagram. Here only the popliteal bursa is shown. This is popliteal bursa which is under the popliteus muscle. There will be semimembranosus bursa which is below the semimembranosus muscle. Then there is anserine bursa and then there will be another bursa which is below the biceps femoris muscle. See here, it is also shown here. This is biceps femoris muscle and there is a bursa below it. So these are 6 bursa which are present posterior to the knee joint. Now the movements of the knee joint, there are 3 types of movements. Number 1 is flexion, number 2 is extension and there is rotation. Flexion of the knee joint will be caused by biceps femoris muscle, semitendinosus and semimembranosus muscle, which are the muscles of the posterior compartment of thigh. Because they are flexors, so they will do flexion of the knee joint. Extensors are present on the anterior surface or the front of the thigh. They are quadriceps femoris muscle. Okay, they are rectus femoris, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis and vastus lateralis muscle. These 4 muscles will form the quadriceps femoris muscle. They are present in the anterior compartment of thigh. They are extensors of the knee joint. Then there are medial rotators which are sartorius, gracilis and semitendinosus. Okay, sartorius and gracilis, they are present on the medial compartment of the thigh. Along with the semitendinosus, they will do medial rotation. Then there is lateral, there is only one lateral rotator which is biceps femoris muscle. Remember this thing, biceps femoris muscle is present on the posterior compartment of the thigh. It will do lateral rotation of the knee joint because it is present over the lateral side, so it will do lateral rotation. Now we will discuss the nerve supply of the knee joint. First of all, femoral nerve, which is the nerve of the anterior compartment of thigh. Then the obturator nerve, which is the nerve of the medial compartment of thigh. And there are 2 nerves which are common peroneal nerve and the tibial nerve, which are the branches of the sciatic nerve. Okay, common peroneal nerve will be supplying the lateral and the anterior compartment of leg, and the tibial nerve will be supplying the posterior compartment of leg. So these are the nerves which are supplying the knee joint. Okay, because they are crossing the knee joint, so they will supply the knee joint. So this was about the knee joint. I hope you understand.